Okay, welcome back. So last time you were here, we talked about some issues you were having in your family. And so today what I want to do is just follow up on those, see how we're coming along with some of the techniques that we discussed, and kind of go from there, see what other things maybe we need to address. So that being said, of course, just like last time, we need to make sure that anything that you say in here is kept confidential, except for if you or somebody else would be in harm because of the things that you're telling me. So I guess you can kind of take it away. Just kind of tell me how things have been going at home.
Things have been going a little bit better because I kind of work in the issue to my brothers about it. They seem a little more understanding about it. Happens every so often, and we'll bring the issue up later on that day, which makes it easier, and we're getting closer together in other times than just when we hang out the little bit we do.
Good. Have you tried any of the techniques that we talked about, the reframing, like when things happen, using those I statements and telling them that they're hurting your feelings?
I used some I statements at the first time because it was easier for them to understand, knowing that we're all really bullheaded and certain phrases will trigger everyone else's.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to do that? Was it uncomfortable maybe the first couple times?
It was uncomfortable because it's not something normal I would do. It's just kind of happened.
A little awkward. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes when we learn these techniques and then we take them home, it almost feels like we're acting because it's not something that we're used to doing, or even not how we're used to expressing our feelings. So, typically you would probably lash out, things of that nature, but for this, you really just kind of kept your cool. And that probably felt like you were acting because you probably really didn't want to. Is that correct, or is that...
Yeah, it was like you had to keep cool, otherwise you would heat things up and it would just go out into a fight and get sent to our rooms.
Yeah, well, very good. I'm glad those worked for you. Were there any other techniques that you used? I know we talked about sandwiching a critique in between compliments. Did you try doing that, or did it not come to that?
I didn't really try doing that one, but I did talk to my parents a little bit about the situations, brought it to their attention about how they feel about it.
And how was their reaction? Were they understanding of your side? Were they defensive?
They were understanding. They were a little confused on why it wasn't brought up sooner, but it was fine in the end.
And I think that now that you know that that's kind of what their response will be, it might make it easier to bring things up in the future. The fact that, like you said, they wondered why you didn't bring it up sooner, that's really good, because it shows that they do care and they weren't just ignoring it. They might not have seen it, because I know typically siblings act differently when their parents are around than when it's just them. So maybe they really just didn't see it, which is good because that's one of the things we talked about. And so now you're getting some answers to some of the questions that we had at our last visit. So let me ask you this. Do you think overall that your relationship, where it is right now with your brothers, will improve? Or do you think you're kind of now like, okay, everybody's on even ground, we don't really need to work on anything? Where do you feel like you guys are at there?
I think we'll progress and go closer together, knowing that they're really close to moving out of the house. We can build that relationship before they leave, where we're not leaving on bad terms.
That's a really good point. And your relationship will change as each of you move into different directions in your life. As you get older, as they get older, your priorities change and you're not around each other all the time anymore. And honestly, it really helps sometimes when you have those strained relationships not to be together every day. It makes you appreciate them more when you are together, and maybe even be a little bit nicer to each other whenever you are together. Going back to kind of what we talked about last week with all the I statements and that, we talked about how it made you feel, things like that, how it felt to kind of be awkward and vulnerable, really. You had to be really vulnerable to be able to tell them that. Do you think that they understand where you're coming from? Do you think it's more of a, I'll change my behavior, or just, I'll do this so you'll stop nagging me? Or do you think they really understand, like, oh, that hurts his feelings?
it felt like they understood. I don't know necessarily what goes through their head.
Yeah.
To me, it felt like they
Yeah.
understood, or at least they acted like
Good.
they did.
Good. Yeah, we can't really, like you said, we can't read each other's minds, but I think when we make that transition from I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm listening, but I'm defensive or whatever, to okay, now I'm hearing what you're saying, I'm listening, it doesn't feel as threatening, so I'm kind of absorbing the information more than I would have if they would have came at it in a negative way. Now they can start to process those things in themselves. And I mean, because let's look at, you know, who your brothers are as people, not just as people to you, but they are humans, and these are skills that are going to help them in the future as well, and help you, because if I feel like if you can address things with the people closest around you, that it'll help you. I don't want to say it'll be easier, but it'll help you because you'll have the practice to do that, whether it's in a professional setting or a work setting or any, you know, things of that nature. Are there any other issues that you've been having with them since the last time we met?
Not really. We've grown closer together, like I said, but we haven't had as many problems as we usually would have because of the conversations we would have and all the bonding moments we would have now. We tend to, I guess, now that we're older, we don't spend as much time together either, but when we are together, we don't fight as much as we would.
That's good. I think it shows an improvement. So moving forward now, we've kind of discussed how things have worked from our last time. Are there things now that you think, okay, since this is better, what are some other things that we can make better?
So,
just go, you're fine.
Any iPads and